All right, I am live for early morning Universus. This is way later in the morning than normal. I've been normally going at 5:15 in the morning. I'm going to start trying out going live like maybe every morning, weekday morning from 7:45 to 8:45 in the morning. I'm going to see how this feels. I was looking back at my 5:15 videos and it was seeming like I was just a little too tired. A little too early in the morning for me. So I'm going to see, let's see how this goes. I'll go and share this around. Maybe being a little later in the morning, I get some more viewers than just the UK group. That's how 5:15 felt. It was like I get some viewers on the East Coast, mostly in the UK group, but 7:45 in the morning. I guess it's still 5:45 in the morning if you're on Pacific Standard Time. It's not completely out of the realm possibility to be up at 5:45 in the morning. Hello, Corax. Good morning. Good morning. I am going to talk about top 10 ways to fix younger Toguro. We're going to look at Battle Lore release and why is it gosh darn so expensive. And then finish off with a life Jester deck profile because today the Critical Role decks have officially released. Go to your local game store after work, before work, during your lunch break. Go get yourself some decks. I'm excited personally to get together and play against the Briarwoods. I'm not sure actually what day we're doing it as a store, if we're doing it tonight, Friday night, or Saturday night, the Briarwoods challenge. I'll have to ask in our Discord. Good morning. At least with the later start time, I can listen while I start work. I'm not even alive at 5 a.m. Well, I was watching my videos back and realizing that maybe I wasn't as alive as I thought I was either. You can kind of, when I was watching it back, it was like, wow, I'm not forming fully coherent thoughts so early in the morning. So today I'm going to jump straight into it. Top 10 ways to fix younger Toguro. We have the ban and errata list dropping April 2nd in just a few weeks, and it remains to be seen. It will be a hotly debated topic whether younger will get hit with an errata or whether any of his core kit right now will be hit with a ban. I'm thinking about cards like Twisting Azure Inferno. We'll just have to see. We have a few weeks before that happens, but I posted on Facebook and on Twitter. I said, how would you fix younger? I gave an idea and then I asked the community for ideas. With all of the ideas from the community, I have formed a top 10 list. And the number one reason was not the number one fix was not the fix that I actually came up with. It was a community idea. I just really, really liked it. With that, let's jump straight into it. When is the ban list? The ban list is April 2nd. April 2nd, the first Tuesday of every month should be it might be the first Wednesday actually. I think it's the first Tuesday is the ban list. So we won't know until then. But this ban and errata list is going to have a huge impact on Vegas. Because right now, I feel like I can't truly prepare for Vegas without knowing whether Younger is going to be errated. There's a good chance I'll play Younger if he's not. And if he is, then I feel like that opens up the meta and other character choices. If you actually want to go and win the entire event, then you're just going to face this guy a few times if he's not hit. Okay, with that, let's jump straight into it. Top 10 ways to fix Younger. Coming in at number 10, we have he is fine, just block. I think this is a lot of cope, but I got this a lot. I got Gosh darn, stop hating on good cards. Why is he targeted? Didn't Tam just stomp through with Asui 3? You can't seriously think this character is a problem. This character is great. He's thematic. No reason, just a format gatekeeper. Get good, block better. One change, get good at blocking. Nothing to fix, in my opinion. Games always need a powerful option with a low skill floor to enable players to feel strong as they get their footing in the game, and then branch out as the options flaws become more abusable. The only time it's a problem is when those flaws are not punishing enough. Well, I think we are in a problem where the flaws are not punishing enough. I think it's fine. Death overall just has draw power. It's just been a struggling symbol. Good character, yes, but not impossible to go against. Play good defense. This is clearly the narrative. This was my most common answer by far, was that this question shouldn't even be being asked. It's only been 1 month since Yu Yu Hakusho. We just saw Tam wipe the floor with a Younger in top 4, a Younger in the championship, a Younger in his win-in match in Swiss. He even gave up his game 1 because he had forgotten to sideboard, and he still beat Younger in his win-in. So Tam put on a masterclass of how to take down the character, and that is giving the community a lot of hope. Unfortunately, I don't think this hope is based on a solid foundation. Number one, I think, sure, players will adjust to Younger, yes, but Youngers will also adjust. I think the Youngers that did well in this webcam regional could be even better in the future. I didn't think they were applying enough pressure to their rival stage. If you watch my deck profile on Younger that I did a few weeks ago, I've changed my deck quite a bit since then, but I kept mentioning in my video, I want to pressure the rival stage. You cannot let characters like Asui 3 just sit back and feel comfortable and just block everything when cards aren't an issue. But Asui 3 doesn't have cards being an issue. Every other character pretty much has cards being an issue. You have to sculpt your blocks. Mop Strike is going to take away your sculpt. I know when I was playing against Younger as Mirio, it felt like every time my high block was getting taken out or Runaway was getting taken out by Mop Strike. And we were just rolling dice to see which card got discarded, but the dice did not like me that day. The thing is that Younger can very easily play 7 or 8 attacks. No, there's very, very, very few characters who can successfully get 7 to 8 blocks. You typically have run out of cards 4 attacks ago. It's like, I did do a good job of blocking. I blocked 4 attacks. It's just that there's 4 more that came. And then you can have some resets in stage and other interactions like that. But at some point, it's too much of a gatekeeper. At the same time, you have to deal 32 damage, and Younger gets to play a lot of defense on his foundations because his face completely takes care of his offense. And then his attacks completely take care of his card draw. So he just gets to sit back and play a lot of defense. You're going to have to go through desperate struggles, Keiko's aids, to get him down. 32 health is going to take multiple turns. Younger scales as the game goes on. So when it becomes a longer game, he's adding like 8 damage to all of his moves. So even though he might get fewer attacks through, the ones that he does really count for a lot. I think this is a lot of cope going on right now. I think Younger is a problem personally. That's not to say he's unbeatable. I don't think he's unbeatable by any stretch, but I think he's definitely overtuned. I don't think him being 6 hand size, 32 health is okay, but we know that in erratas they're never ever going to change the hand size or the health or the health size. At least we haven't seen that to date. Personally, I think that would be kind of a cool way to do erratas, is never ever change the character abilities and just change their starting health. Like, just take Younger to 27 health and he's fine. And he's all good. All right, coming in at number 9, moving on to the real solutions. Change damage enhance to say non-throws. Right now, it doesn't say non-throws, so he late in the game, he can give his throw attacks 7, 8 damage, and it feels very, very punishing. There's only one problem with this solution, and it's a pretty big one. It's that the Younger lists right now aren't running throws. right? These are the two attack lineups from the youngers that made top cuts at the Webcam Regional. And then you can go and look at the attack lineups for the 7 youngers that made top 8 at the Wish Tournament. Now, I know 2 of those younger players have since been banned for cheating. So it's hard to take the Wish Tournament results without a grain of salt. But still, of the 6 players, you could say are top 8 without cheating, 5 of them were younger, and most of them were not playing that many throws. And I think if you're playing a throw game plan, most of the time people playing throws game plans, it feels much more like a trap to me. You should typically be going through with speed, and throws just take too long, even for younger, in my opinion. So I don't think making this feels a little misplaced as a solution, in my opinion. Coming in at number 8, add a damage cap of +3 or +4. Don't let younger continue scaling into the long game. This, to me, has a couple of issues with it. You are going to hit, if you set the damage cap to +3, you're going to hit that on turn 2 most of the time. If you build 5 turn 1, and then you play an attack and build it down, you have already hit your damage cap of +3. And that doesn't feel very thematic to me. The character in the show is growing in power as it goes on, and he's showing more and more of his true self and his true capabilities. And so if you hit his damage cap on turn 2 or turn 3 in playing the game, it feels like you've lost the theme to a certain extent. And that still isn't going to take care of one of the primary issues, which is he's turn 2ing and turn 3ing people too much. Coming in at number 7 from the community was suggested the once per turn should build the attack committed. So the once per turn response that says after this attack resolves, build it face down. Your rival builds the top card of their deck face down. Instead, let's build the attack committed. To me, this reminded me of this meme, and I didn't have the time to go and put in our own things here, but like you have your hardworking underpaid employees, managers, pizza party, and they're still drowning. Like in our sense, it's like the community is drowning the younger Toguro. UVS Games comes and says, builds it committed. I don't think that's enough. I don't believe in eroding characters so much to where they're not playable. But I also think that if you're going to errata a character, you might as well have it mean. It should be somewhat meaningful, and I don't think this is quite meaningful enough, is where I'm coming at this from. Well, it's something, but I don't think it's enough personally. Okay, coming in at number 6, make the enhance twice per turn. The damage pump enhance, just make it twice per turn. You can add 4 or 5 damage to 2 of your attacks. Now the younger is going to have to make a lot of decisions. Which attacks am I going to add the damage to? You're not going to want to add the damage to the early ones, because then those are just going to very easily get blocked. You're typically going to wait until later in the attack string. But now your rival might just take your early attacks and save their blocking resources for later in the attack string. I can see the appeal of making this change, but I think it's hitting him a little too hard, in my opinion. And Younger's supposed to feel like this really, really scary, big bad guy. And now he's going to start feeling like Gru, where he's not really a bad guy anymore. He has been tamed too much. I think this would be a overcorrection. So the building committed would feel like an undercorrection, and then making it twice per turn, I think, would be like a overcorrection, and he's no longer this big, scary bad guy. Instead, he's this lovable teddy bear. All right, our top 5 ways. Now we're getting into the stuff that I actually would really like to see. At number 5, the once per turn response. You should lose health equal to half the printed difficulty of the attack rounded up. A big complaint of Younger right now is that he's 32 health. And we talked about earlier, they're not going to errata the health size. They've never done that in the past as far as I know. Well, this would be Basically, a way to errata the health size without technically errating the health size. And it's done in this really interesting way where early on in the game, maybe this means you're a 30 health character instead of 32 health, right? If you build a 4 diff down, you're going to lose 2 health. If you build a 5 diff down, you're going to lose 3 health. So on average, if you had 2 attacking turns where you built something down, you were actually a 27 health character. And I think this would make younger really, really fair. The only downside to this is it's a little complex to errata younger and throw this in. A little too complex, but I think it does a very, very good job at fixing younger. And then if he builds 3 things down over the game, he'd be like a 25 health character, 24, 26, just depending on the kind of attacks that he builds down. Really, really like this idea. Probably just a little too complex for the player base. Number 4, you should commit younger for the once per turn. So if you have to commit younger for the once per turn, younger won't be able to add damage to the future attacks. Basically, we're making that response ability not be completely free. Right now, it's a completely free response. After your attack resolves, build it down, your rival builds one. This would force the younger player to have to think. It would be a lot like Vax from the Critical Role decks, right? He has to commit a foundation, clears one from his card pool, rival loses health equal to the number of attacks or weapon attacks in the card pool. I can't quite remember it, but it would make him feel very similar to that, where you have to decide, is ignoring progressive more important for you that turn, or is the damage more important for you that turn? When do you need to make this commit? Now the younger player is being forced into decisions. A lot more decision trees making this errata than younger currently faces. This might be kind of an overtune though, in my opinion, and there's probably a better way to do this where you're making that response have some sort of cost. And we'll get into some better ways to do this at number 3, 2, and 1. Yeah, and it feels like it kind of clashes here. I forgot I threw this picture in, but he's clashing a little too much. This, I want to build quickly, but I also want to add the damage. It makes more decisions, but a little too clashing of ideas. At number 3, we have commit 1 foundation for the damage pump. I like this more than the idea from earlier where we make the damage pump twice per turn. Now it's not twice per turn, but we're adding a little cost to it. If you would like to add 4, 5, 6 damage to your attack, you're going to have to commit a resource. We saw Shoto Todoroki 1 do this to get half of the number of ranged attacks in his discard. Typically, that would be like late in the game, you're getting 7 damage, right? If you have 14 ranged attacks in your discard. Well, this is very similar. If you have a huge foundation base, you have to commit 1 to get that 7, 6 damage. This makes a lot of sense to me. I would love to see this fix come in. Honestly, ideas 3, 2, and 1 to me are all great. I'd be very, very happy to see any of them. I still think with how quickly Younger builds his stage that he would be a very, very powerful character if we added this on. But now we're not just stacking free damage. And especially on turn 2 and turn 3, we're really going to have to think about adding the damage, or if we want to just build out and continue building our stage. Because Younger, to me, from a design standpoint, feels like he wants to be this mid to late game character. But right now, he's being played as this early aggro character, simply because everything is free in the character. He ignores progressive for free, and then very quickly he's adding 3 or 4 damage on everything for free. So if we added just a small cost like this, I think it would push him more to the intent of his design, which is to be this mid-late game character where you're really building up your stage and becoming scarier and scarier as the game goes on. Yeah, now it's costing something. See, that's that graphic there. If what I was saying wasn't enough. Okay, at number 2 was my idea. I think the community found a better idea than mine, but here was the one that I suggested coming in at number 2. Change the damage pump to +1 damage for every 3 foundations. We're making him a mid to late game character instead of this early aggro character. Now, if you want to add 4 damage to something, you have to go into deadlock and be at 12 foundations. We're slowing down the character. Early on, you're only adding 1 or 2 damage instead of 3 or 4 damage. I think this lines up better with the design, with the intent of his design, at least if I'm reading the room correctly. And let's see, my brain just totally fogged out on me. But I think he would still be really, really good with this added on. You would just have to play him differently. You would have to play lots of cards where you ramp your foundations. You would have to go into deadlock and be okay, not allow yourself to be killed, your rival to punish you for going into deadlock. Now you can push your rival into deadlock, yes, but also to get the most out of your damage pump, you yourself have to go into deadlock. And I think that would be a really interesting space to go. And coming in at number 1, the best idea from the community on how to fix Younger, in my opinion, this is what should happen April 2nd when the ban and errata list comes out. We should errata Younger to say that the once per turn response is changed to after this attack deals damage. If you would like to get your once per turn off and clear your progressive and build an extra foundation, you have to work for it. You get the reward, your cookie. You say, hey, good job, you dealt damage. Now you can ignore progressive. Right now, the ignoring progressive is completely free. It just says after this attack resolves. So there's no downside to throwing out a poke attack, right? Because that poke attack is just going to become a foundation. There's absolutely no risk. And I think this game is at its most fun when there's some risk reward calculations going on in the player's mind. The Younger has to think, are they going to block it? Are they not going to block it? Is it worth it for me to throw this poke out? Early on, your opponent's going to be able to block a few things, and then now you're not just playing on no progressive on turn 2 or turn 3. I think that also one of the things that makes Universus so great is this push and pull between you and your rival and the interaction that goes on, just the way the enhance step works. I play an enhance, you play an enhance, I play an enhance, you play an enhance. There's lots of timing issues here. There's like a dance sort of going on with you and your rival, if that makes any sense. And this increases that. It increases the risk reward nature of the game, and it increases the interaction of the game. Now your rival can do something about it. If your rival plays good defense, they are rewarded with Younger having to play on progressive. Younger doesn't just get to throw out free attacks and always play his turns on -1 progressive. He has to work for it. Now the Younger builds might start playing attacks like Dimensional Sphere, the 5 mid for 1 that says if it deals damage, draw 2 cards and discard a card. Now your rival has to think, am I going to block this 1 damage move? If I don't block it, if I spend the resources to block it, he won't be able to draw and he won't be able to clear his card pool. But if I spend the resources to block it, now I've wasted resources on a puny 1 damage move. And now there's all these sort of questions being asked between the player and the rival. I think it would make Younger a lot more interesting to play. I think he would still be very strong. I think he would honestly maybe still be one of the top 10 characters in the game with this change. And there's nothing wrong with that. I want to just keep repeating that. There's nothing wrong with the character being strong. But when a character is as strong and as format warping with as Younger is currently, I think there's a problem. And I think if the problem's not addressed, then we're just going to see Younger at the very top again in Vegas. You can say, well, look, only 2 Youngers made the webcam regional top cuts. Well, only 8 players played Younger. So if 25% of the players on Younger are making top 3, that's crazy. That's crazy. Tam is giving the community a lot of hope. I understand that. Played out of his mind on Asui 3. But something needs to be done here. And this would keep Younger as, in my opinion, a top 10 character in the game. It would make him more fun to play. It would be a more enjoyable play experience as the rival against Younger if you could do something about them using that build down response. If you played good defense turn 2, they're not allowed to just get a free poke and turn it into an attack. And then Younger has to do this risk reward analysis inside his head. Much, much better design, in my opinion. So any of these top 3, I think, could be done. The once per turn, the change the damage pump to +1 damage for every 3 foundations, or the commit 1 foundation for the damage pump. All of these are good. What makes number 1 stand out to me is just how interactive it is. And this is where I hope the design team goes with the ban and errata list on April 2nd. So don't worry, Younger. We're just going to take a hammer and chisel. We're going to make those abs a little more... we're going to make those abs maybe a little bit more apparent. You're still going to be good, but we need to come after you just a little bit. That is my ideas to fix Younger. But what are yours? There were a lot of ideas that I didn't go into here. Somebody said that your rival should be able to destroy a foundation to cancel the once per turn response. I think that changes his design a little bit too much to where now he's like this foundation destruction character, but he's not really. So I'm not quite into that. Someone said that his damage should scale based on his rival's stage instead of his stage. But I think, once again, that loses the theme a little bit of him growing bigger and bigger and bigger. But it does add the interaction of the rival being able to do something about it. But those were some ideas that I left off. If you have any ideas, leave them in the comments on this video because I would love to hear about them. All right, there we go. Now I'm going to come here and read the comments. I feel like they won't do a ban just before regionals, but I've been wrong before. Yeah, I'm hoping they do because it feels to me like we have this nice... we would have a few weeks before Vegas, right? We have so much product being thrown out right now by UVS Games, like right in May. And right after Vegas, we're going to have Girl Power drop. Then they're not going to want to ban anything because they're going to say, hey, let's see how Girl Power changes things. We have a 2+ week window. You know, April 2nd to April 26th is when the regional starts. We have 24 days there. That's more than 3 weeks. That is plenty of time for the competitive players going to Vegas to update their lists and change and get new cards. You know, you can order from TCG Player and still get it in time before you fly out for Vegas. I think if he was like 6 of the top 8, he would get a looking into, but I think because it was only 2 of the top 8, webcam was super unique. Yeah, I do see that, but here's the thing. We have a community. We are a small game. And the pricing of the webcam regional, let's be honest, was bad. It's just championship points. And then, you know, I got top 8. I got 6 championship points. I could have gotten 6 championship points by going and winning a local qualifier. These webcam events are not giving just massive prizes. There was 0 other prizing on the line other than championship points. And then it only mattered as much as winning a locals to do really well at the event. Now, Tam, of course, got like 16, 12 or 16 or something championship points. That matters a lot. That's going to give like Tam and the runner-up are going to have big boosts on their odds to get into Worlds through championship points. But everybody else in the event, pretty much, you didn't get that much prizing. So there wasn't a big incentive for all the players to get sweaty and play the best of the best. Whereas the Las Vegas regional, the championship points are twice as much. You have the promos on the line. There's a lot more. You spent all this money on the trip. There's a lot more reason to get to play the best of the best deck in the room. So I think his representation, only 8 players playing Younger at Webcam Regional, was because the prizing wasn't that much. We saw the Wish tournament did have huge prizing, and then we saw like 40% of the field on Younger, and he was 7 of the top 8. 5 of the top 6 who didn't cheat. If we just take out the 2 cheating players, then he was 5 of the top 6. Then he was 5 of the 6 in the top 8. So when the prizes go up, the player representation goes higher. And then of the 8 players that did play Younger at the Webcam Regional, 25% made top 3 in the event. I think that's part of what overtuned Ojiro2. Being a 6 hand size early aggro character with 32 health is a bit nutty, and I play him. Yeah, he's right now. There is no risk to him just slamming every attack in his hand on turn two. His one is going to turn down into a foundation. He's immediately at +3 damage. Everything draws him cards. There's not, and then even if he doesn't get a solid build out and keep a lot of cards in hand to block, he's not punished too hard because he has 32 health. Chances are his rival can't do 32 health, and then the rival can't attack too much because they have to think about surviving another turn from Younger. And now Younger's adding +4, +5 damage on everything, so it gets even harder. So this 32 health is really, really hard for the rival to do while also staying alive. If they do that number one change, I would want it to say non-throw. Yeah, I wouldn't mind if they threw in the non-throw thing. To me, it's kind of a non-issue, but I wouldn't mind seeing it. 4 of my first 5 opponents were Younger. That sounds miserable. I just don't. Yeah, that Nationals at 2022 was my brother and I's first big competitive event. And I remember my brother being so fed up with Kirishima 2 because he had played like 4 straight Kirishima 2s. And in my opinion, I thought they hit Kirishima 2 too hard on his errata. The only errata I wanted to see on Kirishima 2 was making his defense say rounded up instead of rounded down when he cuts and attacks damage in half. Because there were so many games I would play against Kiri 2 where he would survive at 1 or 2 health. And it would just make me think, if that defensive ability said rounded up, he would have been dead by now. So I think they nerfed Kirishima 2 a little too hard. Pretty much every single time a character has gotten an errata, they have been hit way too hard. Ojiro 2 got hit way too hard. Kirishima 1 got hit too hard. Kirishima 2 got hit too hard. And that's a real bummer because Kirishima, when they've done polls in the US, Kirishima is a top 5 most popular character in My Hero Academia. So it's a real bummer when the same character gets both of their versions hit so hard that they're borderline unplayable. I know Kirishima 2 is not unplayable, but I don't want them to errata Younger that hard. Just make the response to be after your attack deals damage. And then we're all good. Now your rival has some say in the matter. Now there's some risk for Younger. The throws are annoying, but blocking 5 attacks is the issue. Yeah, throws, you have to really commit to throws for that to be a thing. If you're only playing 1 or 2 throws in your lineup, then your opponent typically have the throw hate, or even if they don't have the throw hate, they can have damage reduction, right? They can just referee jury maybe your throw, and then they're going to choose not to block that one, or they can broken psyche the throw. They'll block the things they can block. They'll reduce the damage of the throws, or the throws. Yeah, to me, I'm not too worried about throws with Younger, but I understand it feels incongruent with how they've designed things in the past. In the past, they always threw the non-throw thing in there, like they did for All for One. They made it non-throw, and they capped All for One's damage, and they made it every 3 foundations. Younger is just such a better version of All for One. I found blocking 5 attacks manageable if 3 of them are not twisting Azure. Yeah, Younger's not adding speed, right? So he typically gets some things blockable. So the death symbol issue is real, that because he draws a million cards, he can just keep playing as many attacks as he wants. Yeah, with that, let's see. It is 8:30 right now. I probably won't have time to do the deck profile that I was wanting to do. Should I do the deck profile or should I talk about prices? I'll talk about prices, then I'll jump into the deck profile. Maybe I'll go till 9 today. Okay, I have seen a lot of discussion among the community about the price of Battle Aura release. Let's get into it. What makes this card so dang expensive? Here, as of March 21st, are the prices for Yu Yu Hakusho Dark Tournament based on TCG Player. And I've sorted it from most expensive to least expensive. Of course, we see some chromes up here that people are selling $575, $850. Chromes typically sell anywhere in between $400 and $1,000, just depending on the number and the buyer and the seller. Then we see Dimension Sword alternate art at $50. That's kind of surprising to me, seeing as that's such a niche card, but it is going to get better and better as weapons on those symbols get better and better. And then, of course, we see XSRs being in like the $40, $50 range. That makes a lot of sense to me. And then we have this ultra rare here at $35 Battle Aura release. Let's open this up and see if it's actually sold at this price. We can see it has that on March 19th, 4 copies were bought at $41. On March 19th, 1 copy was bought at $35. Before then, it was more in the $25 to $30 range. Now it's down to $35, but I honestly think this is where it's going to stay at. And there's 2 big reasons for that. The main obvious reason is that it's just a great card. It's just a staple great card. And we knew that as soon as it was revealed. I mean, as soon as it was revealed, it was obvious this is going to be a $15, $20 card at least. We just didn't expect it to become a $35, $40 card and get quite this expensive. This is going like beyond like even Vial seizing prices. Because flip a foundation to draw, and then a lot of times this is a 4 high 8, so purely on stats, it's worth it. And it's allowing you to draw. It's just doing everything that you want. But what really makes this card stand out is its symbols. And that's, I think, the part of this card that people are missing, is that its symbols are death, earth, let's zoom in here, death, earth, and water. And I think right now, those symbols are the best 3 symbols in the game. Death, earth, and water. So if you are going to play this game ultra competitively, then good chances are you are on one of these symbols. I think water and death got a massive amount of support from Yu Yu Hakusho and the Cowboy Bebop and Trigun Stampede decks. And then earth has just always been a great symbol. Didn't lose nearly as much from set 1 rotating as symbols like good and life did. Earth has stuck around, still very, very strong. Got a lot of good support in Yu Yu Hakusho, but Death and Water just got tons of support. I think these 3 symbols are the best symbols in the game. So it's not just that Battle Aura release is this great attack, it's that it's this great attack on the 3 best symbols. So if you're playing the game competitively and you want to win, chances are you need 4x of this ultra rare, and of course that's going to shoot prices up to the moon. If I was doing a symbol tier list, I've seen some discussion on this recently, I would say, if we went tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, I would say tier 1 is death, earth, water, and chaos. I would throw the chaos symbol in there. I would say tier 2, well, let's just go look. Let's go look at the symbols. Yeah, I'd put chaos, death, earth, and water as my tier 1. And then my bottom symbols, I would put air, void, life, and good, I think, as my 4 bottom symbols. The life symbol is still quite good. It's not bad. It's just really lacking for like resets, solid 4 difficulty attacks. I think it's got some very clear flaws in the symbol right now. The good symbol is still very powerful in certain characters like Genkai and Yusuke like this symbol. But a lot of the other characters would just rather be on a different symbol. Void and Air are really lacking in solid spam foundations right now. Whenever I play those symbols, I'm not very happy with how my spam foundations are looking. And then my middle 4, so that would leave me with like Order, Evil, Air, or Evil, Order, All, and Fire as my middle 4 symbols. Because I think it's pretty cut and dry that Death, Earth, Water, and Chaos are the best 4 symbols in the game. Which means that it shouldn't be too surprising that Battle Aura release is at this price. If you're looking to get Battle Aura release and you're hoping to get it cheaper, I don't think waiting is going to do anything to this card. I think in 6 months, depending on what happens to these symbols, Battle Aura release is still going to be just as expensive. You might as well pay up and pay the $35. I know it feels bad, but it's not getting cheaper, guys. That is my bad news here. The dimensional alt art sales has no sales history to bring price down. Okay, that makes sense why it's up here at $50 and the other alt arts are down here at like $20, $25. It's not so much that it's valuable, it's that no one's buying them. Have you looked at the Earth and Death cards in Critical Role? I have. The main card in Critical Role that has the gears in my head spinning is Knott's Flask. Actually, right after I took a shower this morning, I opened, this is how addicted to this game I am. I'm like drying off and I'm looking at UVS Ultra on my phone, looking at Chaos, Death, and Void characters because Knott's Flask is so freaking good and I want to find the character that makes it best. I'm thinking like Mimic or Fae right now. I think I'd have a lot of fun playing Fae. I don't think she's close to a top 10 character, but I think I'd really have a lot of fun. I'm thinking through a Knott's Flask, like Around the World Fae build. I think Around the World is a really cool card in Fae. It's a throw, so it's going to do damage. You discard a momentum so that you can go get an Around the World or walk the dog. If you discarded an Around the World, then when it deals damage, you're going to pick up your Around the World, play your Around the World, pick up something else. Like, I think Around the World Fae could be really cool, and I'm looking for the character that best breaks Knott's Flask. I know the answer is probably Mimic, but I've just never been interested in playing Mimic. Maybe I just haven't given him a solid chance. I know Chaos Mimic is very, very good. I am positive that Justin Martin is already making Chaos decks with Knott's Flask included in them. Let's talk about the rest of the pricing for Yu Yu Hakusho. We do have some outliers. So can we just say that they've done a really good job in making sets actually worth it to buy a box? Going to 6 secret rares, we now have had 3 sets where it has almost felt worth it to buy a box and open a box. Like, you can get $50 to $70 of value from buying a box. In the past, you couldn't even say that. Like, pre-jet burn, you were lucky to get like $40 of value out of a box. It was honestly a terrible idea to not buy singles. Now, you're still probably better off buying singles, but chances are if you open a box, you're going to return most of its value. They've done a really, really good job. The 6 secret rares, adding in these alternate art cards, keeping the chromes in the set, all of that has really come together to make sets worth it. Because I think that might have been like the biggest issue with the card game in the past. Let's go to page 2 here because there are some interesting things. The main one is that Botan's coaching is a rare foundation and it's at $17. And this isn't even a fake price. This is a real price. If we go look at the sales data, $19, $18, $18, $14, $14, $11, $12. We have a $17 rare card. I don't think we have ever seen that in the past. Even at its height of usage, Back Alley Haymaker was like $5. You could get it on TCG Player. We have triple that right now. Botan's coaching. Once again, it comes down to just being on the death symbol to a good extent, that if you're playing Death Younger, a lot of these younger lists want to run Botan's coachings. It's such a staple on all 3 of its symbols, Order and Void. I think Order is quite good. You got a lot of interesting attacks this set: Mop Strike, Ice Sword Execution, Walk the Dog. And if you're on those symbols, you want to be playing Botan's coaching. So everybody needs their play set, and it's just skyrocketed the price. This one, if you can afford to wait, it will come down. It's not going to be like Battle Aura release. Battle Aura release is going to stay at $30, $40 for a long time. Botan's coaching, I think it's going to come down. I think it'll settle down at like the $5 range. If you can wait a month, I think it'll come down to like the $5 range, personally. I only have 2 Botan's coachings. I opened 5 boxes of Yu Yu Hakusho. I bought 4 and then I got 1 as a content creator box. So I opened 5 boxes. I got 2 Botan's coaching. Right now, I'm basically just not playing Botan's coaching in my deck. That is how I'm getting around this. Then we got like Walk the Dog, Armor the Wolf at 11, 15 bucks, Trace Eyes 10 bucks, Double Spirit Blast 8 bucks. All of this makes sense. These are good ultra rares. They should be in the $10 range. Nothing surprising about that. We do have one other rare that's holding its value really well. Let's go to page 3 and I'll show it. And that is Weapon Clash here at $4. This is such a powerful foundation. Also on the death, earth, and water symbols, I think it's going to stay at $4. This is what I expect long term. Everybody's always going to be wanting copies of Weapon Clash. We can also see some of these time shifted cards are holding their value pretty well, even though theoretically there should be a lot of them. Like they should be at least considered a rare, right? Since there's only one time shifted card per pack. So they're probably on the same level of rarity as just your normal rares. But there's theoretically a larger pool of them because players can just buy the past cards. Dark Tournament Looms is still sitting here at $5. And one of the other ones that I wanted to point out, maybe it was on page 2. Did I skip over it? Is it page 4? Here it is, Keiko's Aid. This is a common time-shifted card. So the time-shifted version is going to be identical to a rare, right? But anybody who bought Yu Yu Hakusho Set 1 in the past is going to have like 20, 50, 100 of these things. And it's sitting at $4, and it's actually selling at that price. We can see somebody bought 3 at $4, somebody bought 5 at $3. A week and a half ago, I bought 5 Keiko's Aids because I knew that I was going to need a lot of this card. I bought 5 of these at like 20 cents a pop. I think it was like $1.20, and I got all 5 Keiko's Aids. Well, now it's shot up to $4. Even the past Yu Yu Hakusho Set 1 version is sitting at $4 on TCG Player. So if you bought into Yu Yu Hakusho in the past and you've got like 50 of these, you might want to go make a listing on TCG Player and make some money. Because this is such a staple in the game right now. It felt like every single one of my opponents was playing Keiko's Aid at a 4x at the webcam regional. That's basically it for my like price review of Yu Yu Hakusho. Everything's like if you buy a box, of course you're probably going to lose a little bit of money, but you're not going to lose that much. If you go to your local game store, you pay $100 for a box, you'll probably get like $60 of value in the box. And who knows, you might open a Chrome, right? That's the hope that keeps us all buying sealed product is, you know, this could be the one where I open the Chrome and then you've more than paid off the box. I gave up buying boxes as value is garbage and anything less than case buys. Yeah. Jetburn, I'll pick up the odd. I predict Botan at $5 by Girl Power release. Yeah, I think it's going to go down. I think it'll still be. I think Weapon Clash and Botan's coaching they deserve to be $5 rares. But right now, Botan's being like 17. That's crazy. That's just nuts. Okay, guys, I've got 10 minutes here, and I want to talk about Critical Role and Jester. Let's do a quick deck profile on Life Jester. I've only played this deck a couple of times. Actually, wait, there was something I was going to change about this before I jumped in. You know what I realized? I played this deck a few times yesterday, and I realized that Life Jester, I don't like this card, Trickster's Blessing, but you really need a spell foundation to be able to pick up. So I meant to make this change this morning. I was noticing in my gameplay, like, man, I really, really want a spell foundation to go and pick up. So what would I take out for it? What's my block zones right now? Pretty even. I'm okay taking, well, I want my applause counters. I need my defense. Maybe high value target. Sure. Yeah, that's still fine. Okay, I'm going to restart this. And I'm going to try and clip it and just make this like a little 8-minute deck profile thing that I throw up on the channel. How dare you insult Void? Just give me a couple more weeks and Jin Void will be a monster. I think there's something there with Jin, with Void Jin. Maybe Girl Power gives the staples that the Void symbol needs. Because as soon as Void gets some solid spam foundations, Void Jin is going to be very, very good. He's already very good. He's just not quite there. Let's talk about Critical Role and Jester. I made this Life Jester list. I played it a couple of times last night. It felt really, really fun and actually quite strong. So I want to show off this list. Maybe it'll give you some ideas on how you can build Jester, but it is release day for Critical Role. And these characters seem a lot of fun. Go to your local game store, pick up a box. Let's jump into this list. The core of this list is Storm of Arrows. This to me is the biggest reason to play the life symbol as Jester. Storm of Arrows says you can spend ranged weapon attacks from your card pool as though they were momentum to pay for this attack's echo ability. Meaning you can spend Storm of Arrows itself to pay for its own echo ability, and then you've cleared your card pool. Then the effect would just fizzle, but you would have cleared your card pool. Basically playing on no progressive. Now combine it with Dual Needle Lunge. Dual Needle Lunge says pay 3 life, put it in your momentum. And then Jester says spend a momentum, go get any attack you want from your discard pile. So let's just think about this. If you had 2 Dual Needle Lunges, Jester also says that you can commit a foundation and grab a momentum. Your rival spends a momentum and gets a momentum. If your rival didn't have a momentum, they gained one. If they currently did, it's just going to swap it. It's kind of an odd part of the ability, but the main part of the ability is that you commit a foundation and you get a momentum. You get to do that once per turn, offense and defense. Very, very quickly, Jester will just stack up like 4 or 5 momentum. Now you add Dual Needle Lunge onto this. You go Dual Needle Lunge, put it in your momentum, into Dual Needle Lunge, put it into your momentum. Jester, use something, you have 3 momentum now. Go grab a Storm of Arrows, spend the Storm of Arrows, go grab a Storm of Arrows, spend the Storm of Arrows, go grab a Storm of Arrows, spend the Storm of Arrows. You've played 6 attacks and you have 0 progressive difficulty. It doesn't matter that this is only 3 speed, this is only 4 speed. You've played 6 attacks on 0 progressive. It can get even nuttier when you add like Loving Father in with Dual Needle Lunge. If you had 2 Dual Needle Lunges, you can Dual Needle Lunge, put it into your momentum, play a Dual Needle Lunge, then you can discard the Dual Needle Lunge in your momentum with Jester. Now it's the top card of your discard pile. Remove Loving Father, add Dual Needle Lunge back to your hand. So now you got to add a Storm of Arrows and a Dual Needle Lunge to your hand. And then you can keep going. Like, Loving Father is pretty crazy in Jester when Jester always has the option to spend a momentum, because if any of your momentums equal the attack that you have in play, Loving Father is going to just pick it right back up into your hand. Jester laughs at progressive difficulty between Dual Needle Lunge and Storm of Arrows. There's just none of it. The second idea I had behind this list is I really wanted to make Duplicious Attack feel very, very strong. This says your next attack gains Echo. Now you can give Echo to an attack that has no business getting Echo. You can give it to a absolutely cracked attack. So in my mind, I'm thinking, what attack on the life symbol would be really cool to give it Echo? And my mind immediately went to Tasty Riff. It's a 5 high 3. You can build in a foundation for free, like a 0 diff. Even if you have 0 applause counters, you can go build in a 0 diff foundation. If it hits, you get to draw 3 cards and discard down to hand size. Most of the time, if you're playing this like off of Duplicious Attack, then you're playing this as at least your 3rd attack. If you went on a Dual Needle Lunge Storm of Arrows crazy spree, maybe this is like your 9th attack in the turn. It's not inconceivable. And then you can give it Echo. Now you can, like, if it hits twice off the Echo, you've drawn 6 cards. If it hits the first time and then you Echo it, now your character has 3 applause counters and you can build in a 2 difficulty foundation. If you Echo it and it hits both times, now your character has 6 applause counters and you can go and build in like a carbo loading. Carbo loading to me was like the coolest foundation in this list because it's so easy to gain health. You can gain health by dropping a Spirit Lollipop and saying your attack is 3 damage, gain 2 health. Now you can re-ready your carbo loading. You can gain health using like full on attack mode. If this attack deals damage, gain 1 health, your rival loses 1 health. You can also gain health with like Wound Restore. First enhance, remove, gain 5 health. Also, this full on attack mode Wound Restore is a really cool combo where even if your rival reduces the damage of your attack down to 1, if you play a full on attack mode and you play a Wound Restore, even if your attack's damage is 1, they're still going to take 6 damage if they don't block it. So very, very cool combo there, forcing your rival to play blocks and not simply reduce the damage of your attacks. But the core of the list is this Dual Needle Lunge, Storm of Arrows, Loving Father type combo where we just never play on progressive. We never run out of attacks because every momentum that Jester gets turns into an attack. spend 1 momentum, add a spell card from your discard pile to your hand. The fact that Storm of Arrows spends itself, I'm not even sure if the design team thought about that when they made this card. But it's a reality now, and it shares a symbol as Jester. We might as well abuse it. And you've got Dual Needle Lunge, which is going to basically clear itself from the card pool and turn itself into a Storm of Arrows. Very, very neat combo going on here. We're going to echo our Tasty Riffs. We're going to draw a billion cards. We're going to play a billion attacks. Even though they're all for printed, eventually all of those add up. The life symbol gives us a lot of ways to add damage. We get cards like Immortal Shapeshifter to add damage. Also, this is going to help us gain health so that Carbo Loading can re-ready. It's just another Carbo Loading combo that the deck has access to. Carbo Loading can give damage. We have full-on attack mode to give it damage. We have Floating Around My Babies to give it damage. So we have 4 different foundations here, giving damage to the attacks to where it makes these strings feel a little bit more scary. I put 2 copies of Trickster's Blessing in because I wasn't running this in my testing, and I found myself on early turns wishing that I could spend my momentum to grab a foundation just to build faster. Even though this list already builds very quickly because you're using Tasty Riff, and you can echo your Tasty Riff and build 2 things off of it. So you can build very quickly. This list gets to ramp its foundations. It gets to ramp its momentum off of Jester. It gets to ignore progressive. We're ignoring all sorts of game mechanics. Typically, that's what strong decks do. They ignore game mechanics. They play broken cards. Well, Storm of Arrows and Tasty Riff are broken cards, and we're going to try and maximize them in this list. Played it last night, had a lot of fun, felt very strong. Is this ultra competitive? I'm really not sure. I think there's something here. I don't think this is very much a rough draft, like first type of list. I've got a little bit of defense here. You've got your 31 health. You gain health with like Recovery Time and Wound Restore. I think Recovery Time is very mainboard worthy in the current meta when Mop Strike is making us discard cards, and then we can draw 3 cards. We get the 2 cards off Recovery Time plus the 1 from Mop Strike. We do get to play quite a bit of defense with Incredible Display, Resting Up, Fast Friendship, High Value Target, Keeping Area Safe, like Clasp Membership. There is enough defense here to survive for quite a bit of time. You have quite a bit of health at 31 health, and it's going to feel like you're actually a 40 health character with the different ways that you have to gain health. So you're like a 40 health 6-hander, and you have a lot of cards in hand because you're turning your momentum into spells. You can do that on defense as well to have for blocks. So you always have cards in hand for blocks. You're gaining health. We get a solid amount of speed hate here. Resting Up is at a 4x because after we've spent a couple momentum to get spell cards from our hands, our character's not really doing anything on defense. Like after we've committed a foundation, we do want to do a few things on defense, right? At least get our momentum, and then maybe we want to go grab another block. But early on, we can commit Jester for like a block, and then all these Resting Ups are -3 speed. The one thing that I found to be a little lacking was the lack of resets. But that's just kind of a problem with the life symbol right now, is you don't have as solid of resets as other symbols. And so you can kind of die to a dunk move, like a 20 for 20 Armor of the Wolf type move. You are a little bit weak to that. But overall, solid defense. I think it's a very solid offensive game plan. It was fun to play, and I'm going to keep testing it. If it feels really, really strong, who knows? I might start playing this character like seriously competitively. But at least for now, it felt good enough to continue trying. And that is going to do it, but I would love to see your deck lists for Critical Role. You can drop them in the comments of this video, and I'll give you my takes on them. I have not built a Vax, Vex, or Not deck yet. I just started out with this Life Jester list because this Duplicious attack giving something Echo was really, really making my mind work. You only need 2 of it because as soon as it's in your discard, you can always just grab it with Jester. So you don't need to be 4xing it. You need to 4x Dual Needle Lunge and Tasty Riff because those are not spell attacks. And so you can't go grab them. So if they're a core part of your game plan, you need to 4x them. I've got this like Flaming Arrow and Targeting Blast here at 1-ofs. And that's primarily because Flaming Arrow is a high block, Targeting Blast is a low block, and we can go and pick them up with Jester to block with. And so now we've got all 3 block zones being represented as spell cards. And it's a powerful 3, and sometimes that's worth it. We get so much momentum as Jester. At any time we can go pick this up, to dump our momentum into it, and maybe we've just got game there. It's quite fast, 5 speed on its own. Jester's not adding speed, so do want to either exhaust the resources by playing a million attacks or playing these 5 speed type moves that they can't block. That is going to do it for Life Jester. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And I think that's going to do it for me today. I'll come and read some comments real quick. The life symbol stole my heart. These new cards are insane. Just give me a couple. Okay, yeah, the life symbol got quite a bit here from Critical Role. Again, the one that I'm thinking about most right now is this one. This is a nutty card. Saying commit for +3 or -3 damage on a 1-diff asset, and you can do that twice. So a 1-diff asset is giving you +6 or -6 damage. And if you ever mill the 3 and don't get an attack, it can maybe become like +9 or -9. I know Chaos Mimic is probably the way to go here, but I am going to be making a Knots Flask deck. This is my favorite card of the 2 decks. Currently building a Chaos Jester. Chaos is hyper defensive in my opinion. Yeah, Chaos, like I was saying at the when I was looking over the market prices, to me Chaos is a top 4 symbol in the game. It can go toe to toe with Death, Earth, and Water right now. And it felt you get a lot of defensive options on Chaos. And I think Dimensional Sphere is a card that actually should see a lot of play, in my opinion. Even better than Faith Shield. Chaos Jester running Knots Flask, Broken Psyche, and a few others. That makes a lot of sense to me, because now you've got all of this damage reduction and you've got all of this life gain. You could very easily build Jester to where Jester feels like 60 health character. She's going to start feeling like Recovery Girl. It's a very good thing that Wound Restore removes itself, so that can't just go on all game of gaining 5 health. But man, when your opponent plays a Wound Restore and goes up 5, it feels like a kick in the nuts. It's like, dang it, I thought I was so close, but I'm so far. Well, that is going to do it for me, guys. I'm going to take off. It's 8:55 over here, and I'm going to go into work. But yeah, I'm going to try out this time more often in the future of streaming. Maybe I might start streaming just like every Monday through Thursday from 7:45 to 8:45. Maybe 2 days of the week I'll just play viewers in games. 2 days of the week I'll actually talk about something and turn them into videos. But that's going to do it for me. I'll possibly see you guys tomorrow.